Frankie, it's great to see you, mate. It's
you,
been
mate.
a long time since we've had a proper catch-up. Is it fair to say when I say you're the one of the most infuriating talents I've ever covered?
Yeah, I know where you're coming from. Yeah, definitely. I've heard it by a lot of people. Like, I always get people like, don't you have regrets? If I knew now what I knew, if I knew when I was 18 what I know now, it would have been different. Yeah, no doubt about it. 100%. I would change a hell of a lot. But so I've still had a good career at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I'm still happy. I'm still in love with boxing, even though I'm not boxing. So, infuriating to myself also. When I look back and see people now and think, I could beat him. Stuff like that.
It's one of the things where you say you're still in love with boxing. There seems to have been times in the past where you might have drifted away from it and you didn't have the love for it. What's allowed you to get the passion back?
I think a young kid coming off the streets, not had nothing to do with boxing, and say he started training with me, he's getting wins, like I'm winning again. You know what I mean? I've been to a lot of shows where I've had fighters fight and I've lost where they haven't lost. That type of thing. I hate that part of the game. If you win, you win. I always hear a story. If you're not the champion and you just about win, you don't deserve the belt, you do deserve the belt. If you won that fight fair, even if it's by the shortest of margins, you don't have to rip it from the champion, you beat him. You're the champion. Always hear that. So I've been to shows where I've had fighters win convincingly, and they just haven't been given it. And I've walked up and said, "What's happened there?" And they just blank you. It's my decision at the end of the day. In other words, go away.
Am I right in saying that you fell out of love with the sport?
At times, yeah, most definitely, yeah.
Was that to do with your own career and your own talent and how you perhaps didn't utilise your talent, or to do with the politics and how the game works?
Both really. Different mindsets. Early on in my career, I had a few personal problems, and I think they sent me off the rails crazy. Like, I went before the War Days fight, I was out the weekend. I was like, I wasn't even going to take it. I remember before you go to walk into the ring, you're in the black box, and the music comes on, and it's a flick of a coin whether I walked back to that change room and left the arena. Not because I was scared of War Days, I wasn't scared at all, but mentally I just shouldn't have been there. I was like in a bad place. I think when I see people talk about depression, I think I went through a depression at that time in my career. I mean, I went to Tibbs's and I just couldn't get on with it. I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't and they trained me from one of the great trainers, Jimmy and Mark, fantastic people as well. And I remember after the fight, Mark ringing me going, "Frank, I understand all your problems and that, but we've trained you for 6 months." I said, "Don't worry about that, mate. I'll transfer you to 10%. That's not the issue. The issue is I've just meant it because I could see those problems with you anyway." And I spoke to him, the same with him, but I think they knew a bit. I remember walking back into this gym where we are now with Tom Chaney, and I said to Tom, it's up to you, mate. If you take me, I'm going to fight. If you don't, I'm retiring. I was probably 10, 11 and 0 at the time. I believe that thing. If he would have said no, I don't think I would have boxed again.
Did you, when you talk about the depression, was that stuff triggered by stuff that was going on outside from the ring, or was it something you'd had and throughout your life, throughout the amateur days?
No, I think it was definitely outside the ring of post following with an ex-partner. We broke up, and then something else happened, and then I can't really go into it. And then that's when I hit rock bottom. I was in a bad place. I remember it. I don't know if I was suicidal or not. Well, I was in a bad way.
Was this the first amateur gym you ever walked into?
No, I started off at Heartland Amateur Boxing Club with Billy Smith. He got me. I think I wasn't very good, but I had a 17-15, lost 2. But I weren't good. I just had the knack of making people miss. And I was really competitive. I liked to win. And I lost my 17th, which made it to 2. Macklin was about to do my corner on when I just moved to Small Leaf Club. I weighed in at 37 kilo. The other lad weighed in at 47 kilo. I put the picture on Twitter not long back so you can see the difference in the weight. And I remember Macklin shouting in the changing room and in the room, "How's this happening? It's disgusting. What's happening?" And he walked up to Frank, "I ain't doing your corner, man. I can't be a part of this." And I lost by a split. And I think Macklin's the was the cheekiest kid ever, but the day I seen him have that fight, then I realised I started to support him and back him then. I was really cheeky. I used to give everyone crap in the gym. I used to tell them I'd beat them and stuff like that. But yeah, it was mad. Then I went from Heartland to Small Heath with Macklin, but Tom Chaney coached me at Small Heath. Shakan Peters' dad did for about 4 months. His name was Colin. He did, but he was like hit and miss with the gym. Some days he'd be there, some days he weren't. But Tom was there every night. So then I said, one day he come in to train us, Colin. I just said, I'm going to stick with Tom. He's there, to be fair, he's there every night. Then after about a year and a half, 2 years, Tom wanted to make his own gym. And it's the week before the Junior Olympics that the other club found out. So they kicked Tom out of the gym and I was about to walk. Tom went, "No, stay there." So I stayed there. finished the session at the end. I went out and Tom went, yeah, I'll train you now to the junior. I remember someone sent a letter into the Junior Olympics in England saying that we don't want him fighting, he represents our club. But I knew I left. But I was already over there then, I only had one fight. And one of the coaches said, should we just say we never received it till the end of the tournament? I went, yeah, that's the one. So then then I won gold there, and then we made Hall Green Boxing Club then.
Why did you go to the gym in the first place?
I had a fight outside the house, which you probably hear this story loads of times. We weren't a proper fight. Someone put gloves on us. And it was just the guy next door, he's still the next door neighbour now to my mum. His dad run Heartland's Boxing Club. And I was sparring outside and we were just messing around. Then he come out to me, he went, you should start the gym tomorrow, which is a Wednesday. And I went to the gym on a Wednesday. Another mad story for you. Started the gym on a Wednesday, I had a fight the very next Friday. On the Wednesday, on the Friday, we went Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. On the Friday, we were getting the medicals done. And Bill's going, yeah, just to get him his as well. So I got mine done. There's a kid called Gary Stowe who done it with me as well. That's the kid I give the 10 kilos away to. And me and him got it done. Then we both, on the Fridays, come to this show with us. So we got on the show, we jumped on the scales. We didn't think we were fighting. And we know you got the spare person. And obviously there was someone else there our weight. So he's gonna, yeah, Frankie, you fighting? So, what? Give me a pair of boots. And there I had boots, give me a kit. I lost on a split. Then I won like 15 on the bounce. Then I lost to Paul Truscott after Gary Stowe.
So I guess losing your first bout didn't upset you too much because you were so new to the sport.
Didn't have a clue what was happening there. I remember going home with a trophy, first trophy I ever got, I was over the moon. And then I boxed again the week after in Penzal. And in Penzal, they used to give you £20, not a trophy. So I was on the way, I'm going, I don't want this, I want a trophy. So the kid I was next to was Bill's son, Nathan Smith. He won 2 scoreboard titles, boxed England a few times. He's going, give me that, I'll give you a trophy. And sweet, so I give him that. And on the Monday, he come with a massive trophy for me, I was over the moon. I've still got that trophy in my house now. Even though I never won it from that fight, I still got the trophy.
What did your parents think of you boxing?
To be fair, like they never used to watch me. They never used to come until I got good. So I say to her, you only supported me when I was good. But I did. She paid my rent. If she had to work 3 jobs, my mum did a single parent, me and my brother. So they always like supported me. Always made sure I'd done it. But she preferred it because it kept me off the streets. So I was a bit of a terror. And I wasn't a thief or nothing, but I was a bit crazy. Like I'd get chased off people. Like I'd knock door run. I'd throw stones or snowballs. Do I get some eggs? Do I get someone to chase me? I was a bit mad that way. So I think the gym settled me down a lot, to be fair. When Tommy Langford first ever come to the gym in Small Leaf, we're running down the canal. There's some man there, and the week before he chased us. Don't know what for. I was probably messing around. So he didn't see me, so I kicked him in the canal. And he chased us for about 5 miles. And Tommy ran into the gym. He's like red, nearly crying. I kicked someone in the canal. Tommy was like a kid from Devon, like really bright kid, smart. He weren't used to that way of life. And I remember going in there, and we were all laughing, but he's like nearly had a heart attack. And Tom's going, I'll just get used to it, Tim.
Was your dad on the scene at all?
Not at all, no, not since I was a kid. Probably 1 or 2, because it's a mad one, because my dad, his first cousin, is Martin Power's dad.
Right.
And so it's a mad one, because Martin Power said it to me, I was like, not sure. And I went and asked my mum. This only like 10 years ago, Martin said it to me. And my mum, yeah, my nan's called Lizzie Power, she's his nan as well. That's a mad one, really, because he's a traveller background.
Wow, what a small world, mate.
Yeah.
At what point did you start becoming good?
In year 10, I got to the schoolboy semis. A box kid called Luke Allen from St. Paul's. He's trained with Liam Holland and Luke Campbell. And he beat me on a split, I think. Well, I remember my nose pouring the blood from it. And the next week, I got a message, or a week after, just after school, I got a message to go down England training. Luke Allen was there. Stephen Smith was there. I think Bradley Saunders was there, but he was a bit younger than us. And Eddie Corcoran. And I remember sparring them all. And I easily got the better of Luke Allen. And I was shocked because I lost him in the fight. How did I lose to him? I easily got the better. They would just tell me to step back every time we come in. It just made a massive difference. Then Stephen got the better of me. Brad Saunders got the better of me. And Eddie Corcoran got the better of me. And as I was leaving, Macklin took me down, I remember it. And I said to the coach, thanks, I really enjoyed it. I'll be back, I said. I remember saying, I'll get back here because they were only picking 2. I said, what you on about? You're on. I was like, why are they better than me? And he said, no, you've got more potential than them. You're on. So I stayed on then. And then I carried on boxing all the way through, all the next years. And next year I went in the NABCs. I got all the way to the semis. Stephen Smith was 72, I think he lost 2, something like that. I probably 70, lost 15. And I beat him. I think it was 5-0 the score. I beat him comprehensively, really. Good fight.
So that must have given you a lot of self-belief.
Yeah,
the fact that they were buying into you ahead of people that you thought were better than you.
Yeah, at the time they would have beat me. Then I beat Steve. Then I beat Michael Graydon in the final, another kid who was on that England team but didn't get picked. And then I went straight into the schools. I won them. Then I went to the Junior Olympics. There was all the team there, like who went John O'Donnell, Stephen Smith, Tony Hill. Don't you remember him?
Yeah, from Southampton. Yeah.
Sheldon Joplin. He was from Scarborough, one of Danny Price's mates. Danny always goes on about Scarborough, such a small time, but him and his mate boxed for England. And I was like, Jamie McDonald. I'm sure Jamie McDonald boxed Roshi Warren and Gary Russell Jr. on the same tournament. Sure he did. So he's so unlucky for him. Then I beat Ray Robinson first fight. Stephen Smith knocked some Canadian out in a round. Then I was even more scared then. Then I had Stephen the next day. I beat him 7-4 it was, but it was a good fight, but I won. And then in the final boxing, Raul Mendoza, American. He was telling me he was a Mexican on the way there. On the way out, I jumped on the coach, a 3-hour journey. I picked 5 of the fights to fight in Wisconsin on the Michael Grant Pro Bill. So we gone there. I sat next to him the whole journey. I was like his mate when I got there. I remember talking to him on the way, all the way there. We were swapping our headphones, listening to each other's music.
You have this great forensic memory about your amateur career. You know all the names, dates, venues, and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, cool.
But you also talk about a real passion. Like, these are the best days of your life, are they?
Definitely,
when you're traveling with England and stuff?
But most definitely, yeah, the best time we've ever had. It was great. Like, I could tell you more or less all my opponents' names as an amateur. I could probably, even though I had 130 odd fights, I reckon I could drop 110 of their names. Even the foreign ones I can't pronounce, I'd still tell you the country and everything about them.
And then back in the day as well, I read that you looked up to Pernell Whitaker and Willie Pep in particular. They're not the sort of guys that people look up to. People look up to a Tyson, a Hagler, and now obviously like a Joshua and so forth. Obviously you weren't a heavyweight, so I could get you looking at the other weight classes. But you're looking at defensive technicians. What is it about you that made you look to those guys?
Tom Chaney and Terry Edwards used to say, look at these people. The only thing with Willie Pep, he wouldn't have ran without throwing a punch, what to say. So I like that about him. I didn't really study him, I just watched bits of him, but Pernell Whitaker I've really watched. I've even got a signed picture of him in my house, still in my bedroom, still on the wall. So yeah, I really like Pernell Whitaker. Just the way he could make people miss. And he'd done it so easy. You know, like when you look at Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi, they look like they've got all the time in the world. That's how Pernell Whitaker did when they were throwing punches at him. He looked like he could have made him miss twice. Stuff like that, it was crazy. Did
you like the other guys, more exciting guys, or was it
I love watching like the better fighters like Canelo. Obviously, I like Corrales, Castillo, that round 10. I love Ambarera, I love all them, but then people stood out. I love Carl Sagi as well. I really liked him watching him go.
Yeah. You won the ABAs, you won the Commonwealths, but in many ways, the pinnacle for you was the 2007 Worlds, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I remember just before going out there, I was with, I don't know who it was, from the Boxing News. They had like a press day in London, I think it was Fitzroy Lodge. And we were all in there and they've gone, do you think you can qualify? And I said, I'm going to win gold. And they all looked at me like, even the lads laughed. I said, I'll win gold, I bet you. And I don't know why, I just thought I was going to win gold out in my mind. I was going to win gold out there. But I was really worried about some Azerbaijan kid called Amanov. He was a southpaw, but he was just non-stop. 2 phase all the time, just kept on you. And he was the person who got into my mind out of anyone, not Tishenko. I thought I could beat Tishenko, but that Azerbaijan kid. And then to qualify, I had to beat that Azerbaijan kid. But I remember in the morning to the weigh-in, I was killing myself with weight, but he was just as much. He had this silver sweatsuit on, you could see his eyes and his nose, that's all you could see, his hands and everything were covered. And I seen him jump off the scales. I only had to fight him 4 hours later. And I seen him go off the scales, he couldn't even walk, he was dead. I said to him, like, he's dead, So I'm just going to go out and set a pace and he won't live with it. Straight away, he died. I put him down within 30 seconds. And I beat him on points, but he was mad. Just that little confidence, just seeing him like that made me feel better.
Why did you think you would beat Tishenko, who at the time was, I think you said was the Floyd Mayweather of the amateurs or the Manny Pacquiao of the amateurs? He was the pound for pound number one. Why were you so confident?
We went to a tournament the year before the Europeans. In some ways, it was a blessing in disguise. I went there and I boxed Moldova and I stopped him. Then I boxed a Turk called Adrian Salchuk. He was an absolute banger.
Became a world champion in the pros.
Yeah, no, interim won it, yeah. But he lost to Guerrero, didn't he? Remember Guerrero?
Right,
just after the Mayweather fight, yeah. And he was just a banger. And he was going mad. I was winking at him, I was touching him, moving, hitting him, and then putting my hands up. I just really frustrated him. He threw me to the floor, he kicked me in the ribs. And then his coach punched the ref in the face. And they both got banned from amateur boxing. He's coached for life, him for 5 years. And then the next day, I was boxing Ukraine. It was good first round, second round. I was 21-17 down, and then the computers went off and come back on 31-17 down. It was crazy. I thought I won the last round. I put it all over him, and I gave him a bit of a beating. I still lost the round by 5 points. So I was never winning it. And the next day, I saw him box Tishenko, and he beat Tishenko, and he never got it. if you watch it, you'll see he beat him hands down. And his style was southpaw, very similar to me. And I just thought he doesn't like southpaws. He's not decent with it, even though he's beating loads. And then with the Russians, I think Tishenko put something on Instagram the other day about him having a bad decision. With the Russians, you could never beat a Russian in Europe unless you really, really beat them. The scoring was ridiculous for him. So when I went to the Worlds, I didn't know this at the time. After the fight, I looked at the score, the judges. It was an Irish guy, an American, like all from different parts, but not Europe. So it was neutral.
And it was in Chicago.
Yeah, so it was neutral. So there's no way I was going to. First round, I was 4-1 down. And I looked at Terry and went, how am I down? And he went, do me a favour, Frank. He went, go all out this round. If you're down, I'm just going to pull you out. And I won the round 10-0. And then I just won the fight then. I remember it, yeah, it's mad.
And how much, because by then, you're obviously very experienced. I think you fought Kinderland in 2005.
Yeah,
so you
Valentino twice in 2005.
So you fought some of the top boys as it was. Tell me about Kinderland, who many people will know from his rivalry with Amir Khan.
Yeah, class, out of this world. Just the little things, what made him so good. Just his distance. He knew what you were going to do before you knew. He was like that sort of thing. He was like miles better than Khan, miles better than Tishenko. I sparred probably 1,000 rounds with Khan. Boxed Tishenko. That was just in no comparison to Kinderlin. How Khan beat Kinderlin, I'll never know. There's obviously must have been something behind the scene, I don't know, but he didn't beat him right, no chance.
What was your relationship like with Amir to having boxed all those rounds with him?
As an amateur, it was brilliant. We were going really well, but obviously as a pro, I wanted to get out, so I called him out. Then I lost to Bundu, then he put something on, slagging me for losing to Bundu and stuff like that. So since then, we never seen eye to eye. Then I looked on block next minute, but obviously I wanted to fight him, I wanted to call him out, I wanted to get my name out there. So I was always going to call him out. Nothing was ever brutal or malicious, but then we just didn't speak now, so now I don't know. If I seen him, I'd go and say hello. If he blanked me, I'd pretend to fuck off or something. I'd go and say hello first.
What was your sparring like? People would love to know, because that's like dream sparring sessions.
I held my own, no doubt about it. One thing I can tell you though, he's the fastest person I've ever been in with. If I sparred him today and I sparred him tomorrow, you still need the first round to get used to his speed. His speed was like next level. I've never seen anything like it. Not even when I put fighters on the pads or nothing. I've never met anything like his speed. It was like phenomenal.
Did you see him improve? Because obviously he would have been a bit younger than you, wasn't he?
I seen him before the Olympics. He probably deny it. I know I was getting the better of the sparring, definitely. But when he come back from the Olympics, don't know what that tournament done to him, but he was a different fighter. Like he come on so much, maybe made him a new lease of confidence. I don't know, but he was a different fighter. I was really struggling with him then.
So who was the best amateur you faced?
Kinderlin, without a doubt. No, domestically, Stephen Smith. He was the best. He was very good, and to be fair, he brought me on. When I beat him, there was other kids who beat me who he would have still beat. I think I just had his number at the time, but he was better than me at that time.
Coming into the 2008 Olympics, you qualified obviously months in advance by winning the Worlds. You were 23, your body was developing, but you'd qualified at the weight, at lightweight. At what point did you start to think, I'm in trouble here?
From the Worlds onwards. I begged and begged before the Worlds to fight Bradley Saunders at 64. Nigel Davis would tell you, they sent me to Russia to get beat. 100% they sent me to get beat at 64 kilo. Stephen Smith come out with me, and so did, what's his name, Nigel Davis, the coach. Got out there, flight got abandoned on the way to Russia, went to Vienna, and then we had to go back to Belarus next day, then none of our kit come. The Terry had just gone, borrow a kit off the Kazakhstan, so he has with Jans, borrow it off anyone. And Stephen pulled out because he had no kit to make weight 57. He only just moved up as well, and he's 59. There's no way he could have went in at 60. So I was there, 63 kilo, I'd gone 64. I was going at 64 anyway, I'm not bothered. So I went in at 64 and I won gold, won best box of the tournament. I remember it was a great trip, we had a lot of fun there. And then when I come back, I went, there you go then, come we fight? And he's gone, the both of you can win it. So I can't really do it, you're going to have to go at 60. And it killed me. Then a month before the Worlds, Tom rang Terry up, said, listen, if you want him to make that weight, you're going to have to leave him with me. He ain't going to make it with you. Then I can't get under 60 like free then, and I went back there 60.5. So we got it off in here, me and Tom did. Then I went there, one goal, but then after it I said to Tom, I got to turn pro. There's no way I'm making him a limit. He said, you'll make him, we'll make him. And he probably thought we would, but I was just getting bigger, and then you weren't fighting as much because I already qualified. It was crazy.
The 2007 Worlds is an amazing pinnacle for for an amateur career. Was there any talk about you turning pro then?
Yeah, I had a message off Frank Warren saying, "Oh no, bad you made the weight. You want to turn the offers here?" And it really swayed my head. I really wanted to. To be fair, I liked Frank as a person as well. I've always liked Frank, but I just knew it wasn't going to happen. I just was adamant. I got down 60.9, but I was dead. I was in a sauna on a bike in a sweatsuit. I lost 0.1 of a kilo in half an hour on a bike in a sauna. And then some woman said, "Can you have a wee in that?" I said, "I can't wee. You got no chance of me weeing."
When did you start to realise that you were in trouble trying to make the weight?
Well, obviously the other world, I was losing £6 a night. People didn't believe me. Only people who were there seen it.
So you're talking about basically a year in advance?
Yeah, 2.8 kilo a night I was losing, between that and 3.2. And I remember it and I thought, he's going to kill me next year. I remember thinking it, because I was winning. I was in the buzz. The weight was flying off because I was just non-stop training pads every night. In the end, it was 4 nights on the spin. I remember the pads before the world final with Valentino. I was dead. My arms couldn't move. But he's gone to me, "You're feeling that, so's he. He's had 6 fights as well." Which weren't the case. He had 5. But and I just felt, but I still won. But still the way through, I was going to think about turning pro with Frank. It was just killing me. But at the end, I was in the Olympic Village in Macau. And to give me a bike, a sauna, I was about 61 I was. And I went there for half an hour, but I was dry. I wasn't even sweating in there, and that's how hot I was and how dead I was at the weight. And the woman's going, "Have a wee," and I said, "I can't wee." She's got no chance of me having a wee. And then they've done some tests or something. She's walked in and she's gone, "If he goes to that Olympic Village, I'm going to get you sued." Said he's like, "Obviously I understand you got to be dehydrated, but he's dehydrated to a different level."
So who made the final call that you weren't going to go?
Terry, but she spoke to Terry first.
And Terry said, you've been struggling all year. What did that struggle look like for the year?
Oh, it was terrible.
From all of 2008 was terrible.
Terrible. Apart from when I won at 64, then it was fine. I was winning golds. It was crazy. I would have beat Bradley Saunders. No, he's adamant he'd beat me. No, never in a million years would he beat me. I went to a tournament and beat 4 lads who beat him. I went it was crazy because then he went and lost in the Olympics. And when he lost, he put a comment out something like, "I'm not bothered. I want to get home to my family anyway." He didn't reflect on him because he loved boxing. He loved winning. And he won a world bronze. He was a good fighter. He won a lot domestically. He won a lot more than me domestically, but internationally, he was nowhere near. And I know I would have beat him, and people around know I would have. Even Terry said it to me. I would have beat him. I've got a message now of Terry saying I'm the most talented fighter he ever trained, and he trained Khan everyone. When I first turned pro, he sent me a massive long letter saying he hopes I really make it. He said because I was the best fighter he's ever trained, and that's a good compliment from him. But it's just a mad thing, really. I think I really believe when I won the worlds at 60, I would have won them at 64.
Terry said there was a health risk if you'd gone to Beijing and fought. Do you agree?
I think that's what the woman was getting at. Yeah, I didn't know. I was used to getting killed to make weight, but that was just different from what I've come in for. I was gone. I had nothing on me. I remember it. It was just killing me. I remember I was scared to brush my teeth before in case I put a little bit on. It was killing me. I was like, just give me a new lead. It made me probably hated boxing around that time as well, to be fair.
So Daniel Herbert wrote this for Boxing News. It's hard to remember a sadder sight in boxing than Frankie Gavin flying home from the Macau holding camp after it was decided he couldn't make the weight. How sad was that, leaving Macau, flying home, Olympics, gone?
Mentally, I would have myself adjusted to it before I even went out there. I knew there weren't much more I could do. I knew I was doing things here what wouldn't have made a difference if I'd done them there. I just knew it weren't going to happen. I tried, but something made me realise it weren't going to happen. To be fair, I used to train Neil Perkins, remember him? And he used to kill himself to make weight at 69, but he was into that weight where I was still growing. So but the things he used to do to make 69 were ridiculous. So when I'd get picked to a tournament and say Perkins is going, it made it easy for me. I'm sleeping with him, I'm stopping with him, I'm doing everything with him. And I could make weight with him. It was good, we wouldn't even talk to each other like that. But we couldn't eat.
What was that flight back from Macau like?
Oh, I think there was a woman called Alex Newton. She was from GB, really nice woman. She was trying to be the mama figure out there. She's a really nice woman, and she come back with me. And she made it a lot better, to be fair. She's very nice, very like a mother type sort of thing. And she was she kept saying it's not giving me positives from it all. At the end of the day, you're still world champion, you're still going to go pro, you still got this and that.
You said about Terry obviously saying some nice things. Was your relationship overall very good with Terry?
Yes, he worried for me, looked out for me. He was a good person. I remember we had an argument Sheffield one day. He's gone, you know what, don't even come France tomorrow then. But I didn't have to go anywhere. I was already qualified. It was a training camp. So I went home. I thought he's kicked me off, so I went home. And he rang me 6 o'clock. And we had front right. So I'm at home. Told me to go home. And he's gone, you what? I said, you sent me home. But he didn't really send me home. Just said it in the heat of the moment. But I didn't know, so I went home. So I didn't go. Then about a week later, the girl never turned up to the tournament and I fined him $2,000. So he's lost the head. Golden boy Gavin didn't get $2,000 fine, did he? Giving him, and he was going mad. But yeah, I remember it was. But with Terry overall, it was good. I knew I could trust him.
You were part of a group which was exceedingly talented. You mentioned Bradley, but Billy Joe Saunders, David Price, James DeGale,
Stephen Smith, Jamie Cox, Tony Jeffries, the 2 Prices, Ballew, the Langley brothers. We had a good team. I don't think we've had a better team since. Even when I think about it. Campbell was brilliant, Luke Campbell. But at the time, there was Joe Murray. And Joe Murray had Campbell's number at that time. Not saying he was better than him in the end. But I watched him spar before the Worlds. Murray won a bronze. And Murray had his number. He used to get the better of him 9 times out of 10. So people go, how's he been picked over him? Why? I'm not. Me first hadn't watched him. Joe Murray was better than Campbell at that time. Campbell obviously achieved massive things and got the pinnacle of anything as an amateur. And as a pro, nearly got there. But at that time, Joe Murray was better. And then Joshua Price, you have to say Joshua because he achieved more. But I can't really see anyone in that team who else would have beat. Pat McCormack is class. But would he beat Billy Joe Saunders? Both 69, I don't know. 64, I think Bradley would have beat Luke. Don't know who this is. Callum French, I believe I would have beat Callum French. 57, they got Pete McGrail, Stephen Smith, very similar. But you have to edge towards McGrail because of what he's done to achieve more as an amateur. And 52, I think they've got Gamal Ufoi. We had Broadhurst, both done big things, really.
So tell
I
me,
think our team's better, yeah.
Tell me a mad amateur story from you and those guys, Jamie Cox, Pricey, Jaffa, anything.
Some of them I won't be able to repeat. Some of them are too much. But I don't know who, well, I do know who done it. So I ain't going to say who done it. Someone had a poo in Tyson Fury's pillow. Yeah, so we slept in it the night, and the next night he's come in and gripped me. I'm the one like, gotta be Frankie, can't be anyone else. When it's not me. And I think he would have given me a slap, but Ballew and Pricey were in the room, so they grabbed him off me. But it weren't me, it weren't me. And I thought, I know who it is that. And he was one of the little lads, Michael Maguire. And so I rang him, I go, Sam Mike, he said, Sam, come on, Pricey knows, Fury knows you've had that poo in his pillow, Because how does he know? I went, and walked out the room. He was already left. He already turned pro McGraw. I knew he was never going to see him. And they were the closest mates to McGraw and Fury. And then Fury's going, "You dead? I'm going to feed you it." I'm going mad at him. I was on another squad and come back and someone's had a poo in Billy Joe's boxing boot. So then he's had a piss in James DeGale's boot. And they just went on like all mad stuff like that. They used to do bad things to each other. We went to France when we were 18. And loads of the locals switched on us. We had a massive fight with them. They smashed our hotel to bits. I remember like all of us were running those loads and Tony Quigley's in the middle of it, just having it off, throwing punches out and fighting. We've all got off. Then that's when I got kicked off that time when I told you about in France. Then I brought me back.
Yeah, you got suspended. So you got so it was quite interesting. So you got suspended and then started to look up your Irish parentage. Yeah, and we're gonna go and box for Ireland.
Yeah, I mentioned it, yeah. My mum was born in Ireland, yeah. So was my dad, to be fair, but I don't see him like. But my mum was born in Ireland, Tipperary she's born. So I said I'm Tom's from Dublin. See the Dublin flag up there. So, yeah, it was just all I knew was boxing. Nothing else was going to happen for me. So I was just exploring my options. And then the minute they got wind of that, I got the phone call, come back.
You ultimately turned pro with Frank. Was it always going to be Frank Warren for you?
No, it was Mick Hennessy at first. We had a good little relationship, Rob McCracken and Tom did. And then I was going, when I met Hennessy, he got me offer. But you don't just take the first offer. So I thought, very similar thing happened with Macklin as well. With Hennessy and Rob. So, but obviously, Rob had a deal with Hennessy. We only tried tennis fighters. Similar thing to what I only had with Warren. He only tried Warren fighters at one point. So then we're talking. And I said, I'm going to go and see what Warren offers me. And the thing was, you see Warren, the deal's off. I'm going to have to be off then. I went to see Warren, got offered a lot more money, to be fair. I also went and seen Richard Schaefer from Golden Boy. He took me out for a meal. I'm not sure Tony Jeffries come with us, but he might have. But we went out for a meal. I said to me, whatever you've been offered off Warren, we'll match it. Come to America. But at the time, my little boy Thomas was just born. So I didn't really want to lift up and move abroad. Which in some of the ways, that's the thing that if I had it, I could change something, I might have changed that.
Not because of it being Golden Boy and not being with Frank, but because of getting away and being in America.
Yeah. When I look back, that definitely, maybe problems I had here wouldn't have happened if I was there.
Sure. You were moved quite quickly, so you boxed. Well, in fact, let's go back to your debut. I mean, I was there. I think was it Amir Khan fought Michael Gomez?
No, it was Rogan Skelton.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What a fight that was as well.
I sold over 1,000 tickets at that, remember it?
Did you? And Chunky got booed.
Yeah, Chunky got booed, because he fought back like an amateur, wasn't he? It wasn't easy.
Well, he came out in the gold and all the rest of it, and I think people thought there was a real arrogance about it.
And I think it was a lot to the way he fought as well. He was just tapping money, tip-a-tatting, moving. And then the next time he boxed in Ireland, he put a show on. He knocked the kid out, didn't he?
Yeah. What was your reaction like? I guess with 1,000 tickets sold, it was pretty positive.
Yeah, and I sold 450 in Belfast as well. One thing I never struggled was to sell tickets because I always kept myself around everyone.
Yeah.
Even like the Blues days, I'd get down there, I'd speak to everyone, I'd meet and greet people. I'd go and I'd just sit around them all. Not saying I was drinking or anything. I'd just put myself around that situation. That's where I was from. I was from the lads. If I would have started getting cocky around my mates, they would have like threw it back real quick like that. I'd say, "What are you doing? It's not you." So I think the people I was around were humble, kept me humble.
You were moved relatively quickly, a couple of journeymen, and then you fought Graham Fern, who had a winning record. When you see the likes now of Rigondo, Lomachenko, and how quickly some of the young guns are moved, do you think you would have responded better to have been moved even faster?
They're a lot older, weren't they? To be fair.
What's that?
I think they were a lot older, weren't they, Rigondo and Lomachenko?
They were, but you've been around and at such a high level for such a long period of time.
I remember when I boxed Peter McDonough, the night before we were watching Lenny Dawes, and Peter McDonough, "Can I beat him?" "You wouldn't." I said, "I would." I said, "I'll beat you tomorrow as well." And he's going, "You won't." He said, "Records over DJs, don't let it fool you." He's trying to get in my head, and now he goes, "Come on, Frank, let's go to bed." But I really believe I would have beat Lenny Dawes after 6 fights and been British champion. 100% I would have.
So do you think you were being moved at the right place? Right pace
I could have been moved a bit
you?
quicker, I think. It could have been quicker, yeah. But it weren't really what was getting put on the table. I was begging for the Lenny Dawes fight for ages before that. So when nothing was coming at 10 stone, then I started like just coming in at 10-3, 10-4, then 10-7. And maybe if it would have been 10 stone straight away, I could have kept a little bit longer. So I won the Irish style at 10 stone.
They were good fighters, Steve Saville, Peter McDonough. What did those type of fights teach you about the pros?
Here's a story about Steve Saville. The week before, we're at the boxing awards, the Midland Boxing Awards. So I'm standing there by the bar, not having a drink, obviously. I'm fighting with Tom, his wife, and my ex-partner. And I walked past the Villa. I'd love to fight him. Can you what? I'd love to fight you. He had a point in his hand. He was drunk like, "You want to fight me?" And yeah. I rang Dean Powell. I said, "Who am I fighting next week?" He said, "You ain't got an opponent." I said, "Get me Steve Saville." Dean was close to Errol Johnson. Had a deal with the BCB. Like, "Yeah, I'll get you that. And get me that then." So you fight me next week? He's going, yeah. I'm going to write Dean's going to give you a call tomorrow. And then I got the call the next day. "Yeah, you got Saville." And I remember seeing him at the weigh-in. He was definitely a bodybuilder. He was definitely on something. He was slim. He was like, and then the next day, he was like, muscly. And I remember to myself laughing and telling me that muscle won't mean anything. And then I remember inside I caught him and I caught him with a little body shot and then over the top, but the body shot done him. And he got up and the ref told him and he's gone. So the ref stopped it, he's gone. And then he started going, "What are you doing? Why have you stopped it?" Well, he told the ref to stop it. The ref said, "Did you want to continue?" And he shook his head as if to say no.
A couple of fights later, you fought Michael Lomax. You stopped him in 7. At this point, you're 9-0, boxing well. What are you thinking of your progress? Are you still happy, thinking, the world's my oyster?
Thinking I'm going to win a world title. I'm thinking the world is my oyster. I didn't put a foot wrong against Lomax. I remember I was supposed to fight some French kid that week, Guerrero. He was a strong kid. Or Guedes or something, I don't know what he was, but he was like non-stop in your face. So when I got the phone call saying, "Do you want to top the bill?" Because Bellew pulled out against Mackenzie, done his hand. I was in the gym with Bellew. I knew he'd done his hand. I was going, "You're not going to have to fight like that." And he's going, "No." So we told them, and they're about to cancel the show. So we need someone to top it. I said, "I'll top it." And they're going, "We can't do that in the 12 rounder." And that week, Purdy pulled out against Lomax for the Southern area, I think it was. Or something like that. So they've gone, Lomax, we just had to "I'll take anyone." So it's just, I want to fight. I was just thinking about fighting. I'm nearly at the weight. You want to fight? The fight was made at 10-4, what I had. Then it was Lomax, it was 10-7. So that even my eyes, get £3, I'm happy.
Yeah, sure.
And then they've gone to me, we can't give you no more money. I said, I don't want. I said, no, I could have probably got more. I said, I'm not bothered. Just get me for you. Then they've gone, you got low max. And I remember it clear as day. I caught him in the first round and I caught him flush and he went. So I went back at the end of the second round and believe it or not, one of the people from Warren said, listen, let it go a few rounds, there's no more fights on. But so then I was just boxing, I was enjoying it, and then around the sixth, I've gone, get him out there when you want there. I remember it clear.
Anthony Farnell was one of the go-to trainers at the time, and there was a lot of talk about how successful your camp was. There was you, obviously Tony Bellew, who you said at the time.
Selkirk, Broadhurst, Crawler, Heffron, Nicky MacDonald come. Tommy Stubbs had a little brief part there.
Were they good days?
Yeah, great days. A lot being back on the amateurs, if you know what I mean. You weren't really missing the amateurs because you had them all there.
You had a team.
Yeah, values, comical. Selkirk's comical. Matty Hawley's just nuts. We had some great times down there too. Tony Jeffries even moved in with me for a bit in Manchester, but he went to Gallagher's when I went to Farnell.
Selkirk was similar to you in the sense that it promised a lot going into the pros.
Could have done a lot more. He had a lot of hand injuries. And there were hand injuries. I remember when he boxed a go-go, he had one hand the whole tournament. Then he stopped him in the last round.
In 2010 or 2011, your mum was diagnosed with cancer, wasn't she? How did that affect you?
Yeah, it was bad. She's been diagnosed with it twice now. She's not too well now, actually, but I don't think it's cancer, so hopefully she's all right. Yeah, definitely affected me. I lost my nan in 2010, and I was really close to my nan, so that was a big loss for me, to be fair. My nan and I were like, I remember on my debut, she sat next to Frank Warren ringside. She was chatting the head off him. Well, it definitely hit me a lot, yeah. But I've just got on with it, and you have to try and put that to the back of your mind and worry about your boxing. But
you do, but I know you talk about it being a team sport or having a team with you, but when the training stops, you were going back to an apartment on your own in Manchester, weren't you?
Yeah, but Rhea was down there first, Thomas's mum. Then we had a bad breakup. And then I got with Emma more or less straight away after the Heifer and Ronnie, Mark's sister. And we had a baby. Then we broke up for about 2 months. We got back together. I moved to London for the teams camp, but I was on my own down there. That was the worst part of my boxing career. When I had all that bad news with Rhea, then I'm on my own. I'm in a bed sitting in London. That was probably the lowest point of my career.
It's at that point, what are you doing? Are you thinking, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do something else.
Yeah, I didn't know where I think I was depressed. I really did. I was in a bad way. I was down in life. I weren't happy about anything. The only things what made me happy was when my son would come and see me now and again for the weekend. But otherwise, I just weren't functioning right or nothing. Don't know how I was getting through camps.
Were you drinking or were you just moping?
No. I weren't drinking at all down in London. Just moping, yeah, just down. So man, I didn't know anyone in London at the time. I've never had a drink on my own, so.
And it's one of those things really where more and more people have talked about it since in terms of mental health, depression and that kind of stuff. But even back then, it wasn't the same subject it is now.
No, definitely not. Darren Sutherland, he passed away, didn't he? Well, took his life. I do think a lot more needs to be done for boxers, definitely after boxing. The minute I quit, I didn't really announce it for a couple of years, but I knew I wasn't coming back. I've done a few interviews saying, yeah, I'd fight him, but deep down I knew I was never going to box again. So.
You did 12 rounds with tough young Muttley. Any particular memories of doing 12 for the first time?
That one, I think, didn't I do it with Woodhouse to fight before? Or did I do it
I
after?
think Woodhouse came after.
Yeah. Young Muttley, I was in the changing room. I remember Warren coming up to me saying to me, Frankie, I was flued up bad. And I remember he came up to me and said, Frank, pull out and I'll put it on in 2 weeks. So, like, you're not going to lose nothing. The show's done. We'll just put it on that show in 2 weeks. It was a big show we were on anyway. I said, no, me and I've made a weight. He's going, I was coughing, I was like on the pads. I don't know how I won. I think I won from the fact that he didn't want to win. He come to survive. He went on the back foot. First 2-3 rounds, I started off great. I was getting him on the ropes, and then I just died, and nothing left. It's probably the most awful fight I've ever watched. I've never watched it back anyway. Put it like that.
You mentioned Curtis Woodhouse. That came next. That was a fight that was tougher than many thought it was going to be. He was a former footballer, and you'd obviously been boxing your whole life. What went down?
Mentally, that was around that time, wasn't it? I remember, like I said, I was in that little room. The music's come on. It's fun time, Frank. And I just thought, I'm going home. I was that close to walking back out there. I was like, I was out the whole weekend before. I just weren't concentrating on boxing at all. just weren't for me. Then I remember a few days before the fight, I've gone 10-4. So what was it, 10-4? 10-7, it's a title fight. I just won the title fight before 10 now, but it's 10-4. But I said, I didn't agree, no, 10-4. When we said it, and if they did, I didn't hear it. And it weren't like because I was blagging the way. It was at 10-7, the title was 10-7. I would never agree to 10-4 for a 10-7 fight. And then Woodhouse was moaning, so then we had a bet. If he wins, I give him $4,000. If he loses, I don't give him nothing. For the weight thing, I went, yeah, I'll do that. He's not going to beat me anyway. But
did you overlook Curtis? Or were you just not thinking about it?
Not thinking about it, not at all. My head was all over the place. Like I said, if you would have had psychiatrists and mental people then to speak to you, I think they would have called the fight. I was in a bad way. I weren't functioning straight. I wasn't even thinking about the fight until I had that walkout.
Were things better when you fought Kevin McIntyre?
Yeah, much better.
Why have things changed? Because that was a great win to stop him early.
With my family, with Tom. Tom knew me better than him. Tom's like a father figure to me. Arnie, listen, I can't. Arnie's commitment to boxing is second to none. Arnie's a good man, a great man. It's just I had something different with Tom. Like he brought me up from a kid. I had nothing. He knew me better than anyone. And I remember him saying to me after that, what I thought, I ain't coming to watch you fight again, Frank. I can't watch you get hit like that. He said, I know you shouldn't be getting hit like that.
Yeah,
because Tibbs, Woodhouse in the life. Woodhouse come here like a year or two after, and I sparred him on a Monday, and I battered him. And he'll deny it. I don't know. He'll deny it. I don't really care. He was supposed to come again on the Wednesday. Tom said he will not be here Wednesday. I said he is. Look, he's heading up. How much I bet? He said to me, he said he will not be here Wednesday. He wasn't here Wednesday.
After Kevin McIntyre, you were back on track. 6 months later, or a couple of fights later, you beat former world champ veteran Junior Witter.
Yeah.
Your record's now starting. It looks like you got over the Woodhouse split where you didn't perform, and then you've beaten Kevin McIntyre, then you've beaten Junior Witter, former world champ.
Yeah, all look going good again. Yeah, and it was flying. And then I remember in the fight with Witter, he was really cocky. He knew his way around the ring, but I could just see he didn't want it. In the 8th round, he stepped out the ring to walk out, and Dominic pulled him back in. You went showing me up. So he would have got out the ring and give up if he was allowed, but he obviously weren't. And then after I got boxed Wellborn, I remember seeing Wellborn ringside, and I didn't rate with Wellborn at all. No disrespect to him. I just thought, I'm there, he's there. And Dean Powell said, you can fight him next month if you want. I said, what? I was like, yeah, I'll have that. And my first defence. I got paid double that than what I got paid for Witter. So it was a mad one, really. And
this run of fights actually ages really well. So not only Witter, but Jason Wellborn, Denton Vassell, David Barnes, and Bradley Price. With the Vassell fight, was that as good as you ever boxed as a pro?
I thought the Wellborn one was my best. I didn't put a foot wrong. I don't think I got hit the whole fight. But he had a mad style, Wellborn. He'd punched there. So I thought, so he threw one to him, he both went past my head, and I thought, nah, he's taking the piss. So then I put my guard up, and he done it again. Both went past my head, I thought. He used to punch diagonally instead of straight. And I thought. Then I left my hands down and just threw one. As he threw one, I caught him flush. These two went past me. Then I thought, then he's made for me. And then obviously for Sal. I remember before, my brother, he's really nervous, John. And he used to get me nervous, how nervous he was. And I was sitting down in the Vassell fight. And he walked in. And he started laughing. I thought, you laughing? He said, you're going to batter him. And I said, what? He said, you'd see him on the pads. So I popped my head out. Look, he's in the Olympia, derelict building. I don't know how they are boxing out the back there. Then I started laughing, but I was confident at that point anyway. But he made me more confident because my brother was more scared than I am. And I used to get nervous. And he was laughing, so I thought, I'm definitely winning this. So I remember, I even read the phones back. Everyone thought he was going to beat me, everyone. He's too strong, he's going to walk through him. But he weren't strong punch-wise. He was physically strong, but not punch-wise. I remember once in the ring, he lifted me up and put me to the side. I thought, bloody hell, he's strong. But then he hit me with the shots, and the shots in there. So, and I was really enjoying it. And then I broke his jaw, obviously. And then I think that ended his career, really.
And then David Barnes?
He broke my jaw. In the 6th round, yeah. My 2 back teeth come out. And I've gone to Tommy, broke my jaw. You're going to pull me out. I was in mad pain. And Tom pulled my gum shield out. When I was only your teeth, flicked them out, put it back in. I was like, don't touch my gum shield again the whole fight. I was like that. But Barnes, like, he was a bit of a, I don't know if he was scared or what it was. But in the 2nd round, I went to touch his gloves and Warren's gone, punch him as you do it. So I went, touch, whack, and I caught him flush. And he like went back like, and I could see I was getting in his head. Every time we got close, I was hitting him with his shoulder, whacking him, dirty, putting my head on him. And he didn't want to know, then he broke my jaw. So I started being really nice to him. But yeah, touching gloves. Every time we got close, I was going, break. And he was listening to me. And he was like, I was the master and he was learning off me, even though he was the older one and I was the younger one. If he would have just manned up and put something on me, he might have got me out of there because my jaw was that bad. But he didn't.
These are all good wins, but did you still feel like something was missing, or were you still just on you on your path to a world
I
title?
thought I was on my path. Then I boxed Bundu, and I still think I won that fight. I really think I won the Bundu fight. I definitely won the first 5 rounds. And then 6th and 7th probably lost. Then I won the 8th. Then he won 9th and 10th. Then I won 11th and 12th. That still gives me the win, even with the knockdown. And I'm still adamant I won the fight, but he weren't meant to. He come up to me at the end, Bundu, he said, congratulations, you're the champion. Then when he got it, he went, I just said it because it was your hometown. So he even thought I won. I was adamant I won that fight. Still, when I watched it back probably 10 times, I've always given myself the win.
How hard was it to take, losing the undefeated record?
It got to me bad, to be fair. And then, obviously, I come back, I boxed that Hungarian kid, Matt Horniak. I think he had 19, lost 2. And I remember, I had lunch, I had my food. He's had 4 bottles of beer. I was thinking, what's he doing? And I said to Tom, me and Tom were laughing. Then I had dinner before the fight. He's had another 4. So I'm like, so I've got there. And then he's holding onto a bar before he goes, and he's like that. He's really shaking. I'm going, don't worry, mate, it ain't going to last long. And his coach just started laughing, but I'd done him in 2 rounds. I felt bad. It was only 19, I was 30. Obviously, you've got to do what you got to do. You're in the ring, ain't you? He's coming to beat me, I'll come to beat him. And then I think it was Skeet after that, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah. He was 19-0 at the time.
Yeah, Skeet, yeah. There was a lot of fuss on that. Tom said to me not to take that fight. And I said, why? He said, because it's just wrong for you. He said, you'll win. He said, you ain't going to look good. And I was like, how bad Skeet? I remember sparring with GB, I dropped him. I just didn't rate him at all. Then I remember before the fight, at the weigh-in, he started giving it real loads in my mouth, in my face, going, giving it the big one. Loads in my mouth. And then he started giving it the big one, going, you got nothing, I'm going to smash you. I was like, shut up, Brad, you're a prat. I remember you from GB, you ain't going to do nothing like that. And then just as we're about to go out and fight, I'm in this changing room, and he's in that changing room. I'm walking out, he's gone, oh, fuck off, you prick. And his head just went down, and I knew I had him then. And he'd done better than I thought, and then a lot of other people thought. But I remember in the 11th round, they're going to him, you're losing, Brad, you need to knock him out, and he's just running. Going, Brad, you're listening, you need to fight. And I was talking to him, I was like, come on, and he just wouldn't come near me. I think he was petrified.
Even though you thought you won the Bundu fight, obviously you didn't get the decision, you've beaten Bradley Skeet. Are you still thinking to yourself now, I'm still going to be world champion?
Yeah and no. I didn't think I should have lost the Bundu, so I'm thinking, I've lost the Bundu. And then Bundu lost the Furman, didn't he? So then I got offered Timothy Bradley. I think it was decent, $175,000. I think I got offered to fight in America against Bradley. And I hate flying since Tenerife. I haven't flown. I would have done it, but I haven't flown since 2010. I had a bad flight to Tenerife. And it's really got to me since. And I'm at home, and Brooks on the telly, there's a Sky bill on. And Brooks on an interview, got a voluntary on May the 30th. They're 8 weeks away. So I'm just waiting for an opponent. So I just text Eddie straight away, Eddie, let me fight Cal. I'm just number 2 in the IBF ratings. Let me fight him. He needs a voluntary. Why do I have to go and fight Bradley? And I can just fight Brooke. So Eddie's gone, Cal's just accepted it. And he offered me something measly. No, I didn't get a lot for it anyway, but he offered me something, 75,000, I think it was. I said, not a chance. And then he upped it. And
I remember reading in boxing news that you'd had this horrible flight to Tenerife because you'd obviously flown all the way around the world without a problem. What happened on this flight to Tenerife?
It was everywhere. It was shaking. I looked and the stewardess, she went, and I just thought, oh no. And then from then.
What was it, turbulence and stuff?
Yeah, bad though. It was flying everywhere. And
have you been back on a plane?
Nah.
Sorry,
I did on the way home.
But that was it.
I looked everywhere to get a boat, and I'm telling you, I looked everywhere to get the boat, and I just couldn't get it anywhere. So I've had to get back, and then there's this man, he's a game man on the flight home, and I'm scared, and he's rubbing my leg. Going, you'll be all right, mate. Anywhere else, I would have given him a dig or something. Going, oh, thanks. I'm really scared, not even answering. Then my ex-friend passed me Thomas, and I went, no. I was just like the whole way. Then I was about to, I needed the toilet bad. It's like a 4-hour journey, and I got up to go on it, and the plane didn't drop. I went, sat back down and just didn't move off it then until I got back. I remember walking on the plane, I was about to walk back off it. But they're going, you can't get off now, we're leaving. And I couldn't get off it. And I was that petrified, I was sweating, my arms, everything. And it just something got in me, and I just didn't do it again.
And you've not been back on a plane since to fight back?
No, my partner's going mad about it now.
Is that a regret not fighting Tim Bradley?
Yeah, I know, because it's in America, big stage. I think it was Madison Square Garden, I'm sure it was. But, why I was thinking, why did that? Where if I lose that, I'll never get a world title fight. And I remember Tom doing an interview in there, and he said if Frankie never gets a world title fight, it's a travesty with the ability he's got. So when that come up, I took it.
It's mega. You've flown all the way around the world.
America, Australia, China, everywhere. But it's just something's in my head. I have to get over it, to be fair.
So going into the Kell Brook fight, what are your expectations of what's going to happen?
I thought I was going to win. Deep down, I thought I was going to win. And listen, every other fight I can make an excuse, everything. Kell Brook was just better than me. On the night, I just couldn't get out the way of his right hand. My style was made for his. He just hadn't had my number. Maybe he had it any other style, I don't know. But that night, I wouldn't have been, no matter what. But I lived a life, I trained hard, I'd done everything right. Worked to fight Kell Brook, to beat Kell Brook, and I just couldn't.
How hard is that to swallow that you'd actually lost to the better man?
You know, I'd rather lose to the better man than someone I shouldn't have lost to. Like, I'm not being disrespectful to Sam Eggington. He's one tough man. He's strong, and he's done a hell of a lot for what he's got. But I didn't live that life. The weekend before, I was drinking again. I was partying. After the Brook fight, my love for boxing went. There was just no love there anymore. It hurts me to even think about it, like how much I shouldn't have been boxing. I shouldn't have lost to someone there where by the time I was fighting Brook and all them, no disrespect to Sam, but he wouldn't have got near me. I would have beat the best Sam then. The best of what Sam has wouldn't have beat the best of me. But at that time, Sam beat me.
I remember reading years ago that you kind of wish that you'd never been called Funtime Frankie.
Yeah, but you weren't, because then it come back different. Like, people say, look, don't get me wrong, some fights I've drank or whatever and I've fucked around and I should have done better, but overall I weren't really a drinker. Like, probably drank, like I said earlier, once this year, probably 3 or 4 times last year at a push. It's more the fact that I used to mess around and play around pranks and mess around. That's Ron Bodie gave me the name. Do you know Ron?
Yes.
Yeah. When we were in China, we were going somewhere and I was assigned to some place. Everyone was running to it, so I turned the sign the other way around, so everyone's gone the other way. Loads of people missed their flight, which is my fault. But at the time, it's bad now, but at the time I found it funny. So then Ron said, Funtime Frankie, and it just stuck with me from then. What
were the harder moments, the days and weeks after the Brook fight or the days and weeks after the Eggington fight?
Probably the Eggington fight, because I knew I shouldn't have lost him. I don't know how he would have lasted 8 rounds, to be fair. I was dead on the weight. I started camp late for the weight. I just went. It was really lucky for anyone to call me a professional boxer back then, because I weren't living like a professional fighter. I weren't training like a professional fighter. So really, I weren't a professional fighter then. Like I said, I was out the weekend before. I just weren't interested in boxing. I fell out of love with it. But the only good thing I can take from that is I can pass knowledge now on to other fighters. Not make the mistakes that I made.
Had you given up on being a world champion by then?
Yeah, after the Brook fight, I'd given up on that, to be fair, yeah.
How hard was that realisation, given that you were supposed to be one of this country's finest ever?
Yeah, one of the best amateurs. Yeah. I think it's just the fact that I fell out of love with it. It weren't even playing on my mind too much, to be fair. I wasn't really that bothered. The Brook fight hurt me, because it was better, but the Eggington, I wasn't really bothered. I didn't care. Got paid for it. There was more or less in it for money than anything else. And when I boxed the Spanish kid, Laranga, I really trained hard for that. 16-week camp. There was no messing around, no nothing. I was behaving. I was probably as fit as I've ever been. But the boxing weren't up to scratch. It was more having fights and tear-ups and training than it was touching, moving, making a miss. So I was really going out there to have a tear-up, which to have a tear-up with him with my style ain't going to happen. Even though I was winning the fight comfortably,
to think, obviously, that you looked up to Pernell Whitaker and Willie Pep, and that's where you wanted to be, and now you're in Bilbao in Spain having a tear-up when you shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
Just shows how everything had sort of flip-flopped.
Of course, yeah. Age, obviously, age is a factor on everything. Probably the way I lived at certain times in my life was the fact that the Witter, Barnes, the South, all that, we lived it perfectly. I more or less moved in with Tom. I remember the Witter fight, I think I was so in shape. I think I was on the weight 2 weeks early, and that for me, that just doesn't happen. For me, I don't normally make the weight until the minute I'm getting on them scales.
You said more should have been done, or more should be done to help fighters in retirement. How hard was it for you to accept that that was it, that it was over?
It's hard, yeah. I was one of these people, I needed to train, or I'd be arguing, I'd be moody, I'd be like taking it out on other people around me. The training was like to let me off a bit. Like I ain't trained now for ages, but I've just bought a bike. I'm going on bike rides now. I've been doing a few. I want to get back in some sort of shape. So I'm training people to personally trying to lose weight, and then I'm fat. It's not right. So I'm just trying to get back really for boxing. Like with the amateur gym, we're in the gym every night. I know all people say I'm a coach, but they're not in the gym every night. I'm in the gym every night. I'm training. Even when I'm working, I'm getting in, say, 7, 8 in the morning, I'm going to the gym, and I'm getting picked up from the gym sometimes to go to work. So,
what did you miss the most?
Hitting people.
Did you? The fight, the sparring and the fight night?
There's no anything like it.
Sparring as well, or was it strictly
I love fighting, man. Listen, I love my kids to bits, but them being born doesn't beat winning. I know it sounds mad. I do everything I can for my kids. I devote my life to them. I dote on them, but that feeling when your hand gets lifted up, there's not many like it.
What's your school of thought when I say this? You were British Commonwealth champion. You challenged for European and world titles. That's a great career. Yeah. Do you agree?
For some people, yeah. Not for what I should have got, and not for what was promised. And I promised myself. Obviously, what I've done as an amateur, like even winning the worlds, like takes all them completely out. I've done something what still to this day no one's ever done, and it's like I know Campbell and Joshua were winning things. They were winning things, but by the tightest of margins. Like I think Andy Josh is great, but he didn't win the Olympics. He did not beat the Cuban. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm not. Anyone else who watches boxing knows he didn't beat the Cuban. He was in London, so we got it. Luke Campbell, class act. But they weren't winning the fights by the margins I was. No one can, my Commonwealth Games, my Worlds, my European Unions, no one can watch any one of them fights and say it was close, because not one of them was close. None of them were debatable. None of them you could say, I'd give it to him. But they had fights what were like that. I was like that far ahead of anyone close to me. Even at 60 and 64. I was number 2 in the world at 64. And the only reason I weren't number 1 in my opinion was because I never boxed him. He was a small kid from Mexico, I think. Diaz or something. He won the Olympics. I would have beat him hands down. He had the style what made for me. He weren't like I was just about winning. I was winning everything clear.
There was that period where everything you touched turned to gold. Did it feel like you were boxing in some sort of matrix?
I'll be honest, I thought I was unbeatable. I used to go to tournaments, and when I was first going amateur, I used to go places and I hope I don't draw him, I hope I don't draw him. I used to sit there, everyone else would be like thinking about the draw. I'd just be chilling, playing my game, not cared, just waiting for him to come in and tell me who I'm fighting. It never used to cross my mind. I used to think, whoever, I'll beat him. That's the place we went the last 2 years as an amateur. Remember the Irish kids, they used to go to tournaments, they'd go, what weight are you doing, Frank? I'd say 64, yes. Or do one and put his head down, or 60, and then they'd all be changing their mind. Even before the Worlds, they all come up to me and said, "What weight are you doing, Frank?" Because people were scared to fight me. People used to come up to me, and I remember when John Joe Joyce lost to the Hungarian, and I remember in the changing room, "Oh, you got it because I am, but at least I don't have to fight Frankie." I remember him saying that. So it's like mad it was.
You came through in the social media era. How hard was that? Because when you turned pro, or certainly when you were having your success in the amateurs, social media wasn't as mainstream as it became. I'm guessing you got the brunt of quite a bit of social media stick.
Oh yeah, I've got about a 700 block list on Twitter.
Have you actually? Do you reckon about 700?
At least 700, 700, yeah, we checked the other day, 700. Well, 712, I think it is.
Is it hard? Has it been some of the stick?
When my daughter was born, yeah, I don't like to be rude or crude. 3 or 4 days old, some man texts me, I hope your daughter gets fingered. Just weird stuff. It's not even... Some people who are on Twitter just slag people. If I put a nice thing on our happy birthday, mum, someone will go, fuck off, you fat cunt, or something like that. There's just someone, Twitter I think is the worst ever. One thing I was a pro now, I'll probably stay off my Twitter. Facebook and Insta's not too bad.
Funny, because I was having this talk with Tony Jeffries the other day, and he's obviously making a career out of being...
Social media.
Yeah. It's tough, isn't it? It gives with one hand and takes with the other.
Of course it does, yeah. It's crazy. Look at Gemma Collins. She said she don't put anything on the internet unless she gets 75 grand. Mate, I've run around naked around town with 75 grand for a week.
We've done it all before.
Yeah.
Do you feel like your career was mission accomplished?
In some ways, it is. I don't know. When I retired, I done a piece with the Evening Mail, the Birmingham paper, and I was with Tom. And Tom's gone, "Why are you putting it down?" I think you still had a good career, still achieved a hell of a lot. Overall, I think I had 174 fights, lost 24. So it's not really still a decent career, really. So, but obviously, I wanted to achieve more. But everyone wants to achieve more. I bet Mayweather would still want to achieve more. I know he'd done a lot more than me, but obviously, I still had a decent career. I still look back with regrets, but I'm glad that some things they probably changed me as a person, made me growing up as a man, become what I am now, and pass them things on to other people today. Don't make the mistakes I made.
What your downfalls? Why you didn't make it to the very, very top? Was it down to you?
70-30, yeah. So yeah, definitely more down to me than obviously I had setbacks, so I don't really want to go into. But yeah, I'd say down to me overall. Yeah.
Was also partly down to there not being a weight class at 144 pounds. Because we used to go back and forth, you and I. I remember writing for Boxing News loads of times where you'd say, "Oh, you know, I'm going to fight at 147." I was like, "I'm sure 140 is probably your best weight."
You used to say the nice way to me. Danny Flexen was a prick, man. He used to go, "Yeah, 140." Yeah. He used to piss me off.
But do you think you could have? Do you think 144 was your weight?
Yeah, I could have done 140. I don't know. Even at 147 in the end. I'm not probably got the body to be ripped, but I don't know. But yeah, I used to kill me. But maybe it's me. I don't know. Because I weren't big at it. There's no doubt about it. I weren't big at it. When you used to put me at 147 next to all the others, I was their size. Who was smaller than? There was no one else smaller.
I also read an interview that you did, I think back in about 2012, maybe before the Woodhouse fight. And it seemed to think that you had, and don't take this the wrong way, but an entitled look in the sense that because you'd been the best as an amateur and you'd done all this, that you were going to do the same as a pro regardless. Did you have that sense of entitlement?
I think so, yeah. I think people used to say to me as well, "Oh yeah, you'll be world champion." I said, "Yeah, I'll be world champion." I used to, because I was that far ahead as an amateur, I thought it was going to be the same as a pro, but it's a different game altogether, to be fair. I'm glad now to do the WSB, they've changed it to 3 minutes. People say to me, "You would have done at 3-3s." I was that far ahead at 4-2s. They wouldn't have beat me at 3-3s, I know. But they can rob you better because when it's manual, you say, "Yeah, I've seen this." And when you're pressing a button every time you hit someone and they hit you, it's hard to cheat. Do you know what I mean? When I was in the junior ABA semis in Dagenham, I boxed a lad from Dagenham, and the whole day was computer scoring. Then our fight got put to manual, and then straight after back to computer scoring. So it was like, so I walked out. I remember I smashed my trophy off the floor when you were robbing this. I won the fight hands down. And I walked out, and then as I'm walking out, the 2 England coaches walked up to me with the 6 Nations. Like, "You have to win them to go." And that was the semis. They went, "You go in. Doesn't matter who wins them. We'll see you in 2 weeks." So I think they knew how bad it was.
What would the Frankie Gavin now say to a Frankie Gavin just turning pro?
Forget anything you did as an amateur. Forget the lot. This is a new game. This is a new lease of life for you. You have to live it, and you have to take every day like you're a contender, you're a challenger. Change my whole mindset and things. Got to live every second of it. Obviously, after a fight, you get your week off, enjoy it. But when you're in camp, you go in camp. You don't leave anything. Got to do this. Oh, no, I start Monday. You start there and you live it from then.
And would the Frankie Gavin have then listened?
Not then, no. But he would know. If I went back now, he would. Yeah. Well, I didn't listen, did I? So, but now I would. Yeah. Now I would change my outlook.
Were there people telling you that stuff?
Yeah, Tom was on me. Tom was on me, to be fair. But when I went to Arnie, there's no disrespect to Arnie. I was the boss, if you know what I mean. I remember one day set a circuit up, a big, massive circuit. With me, Bell, you, Selk, a lot of us in there. I've just barred. Gone, "Oh, I ain't doing that, mate. I'm going home, mate." Like, let me go. So then the whole gym went, "Fuck that," and the whole gym walked out. So then, when I come here, done my first session with Tom, there's a circuit here, 6:30 easy, 6:30 seconds, 3 times round. I ain't doing that, Tom. Come on. I said, "I ain't doing that, mate. I'm knackered. I'm going home." So, yeah, listen, you walk out that door, you do not come back. So I got to the gate and walked back and done it. But I was close to leaving. This man, they just give me a different thing. Anyone will tell you I train hard. I know that don't sound lucky, but I train hard. I push myself in training. No one ever questioned my training. It's the question what I've done when I left the gym.
Did you ever get over the disappointment of the Olympics? Do you think your mindset changed permanently?
Yeah, definitely did. It made me hate. I hated dieting. I hated the sport. The things I put myself through for no reward. I think it definitely made a difference to me, discipline-wise, and
You lost something you never got back.
yeah, I think no one could ever the discipline I put to win them worlds. I don't think anyone else would do what I'd done. I was training 3-4. Even when I went home, I'd run in the morning. I'd train in the day. I'd run on the night. I remember when I boxed Bunder, I ran 72 miles that week. Like, I'd done it wrong. It wasn't that I was doing the weight. I was eating fine. I was eating everything fine. But I would always just do enough to get the weight down and then back up down. So I was eating really well. But I think Kerry Kayser used to put things into me. You got to eat more, Frank. You've got to drink more. I used to eat the bare minimum and I used to drink sips. I never really done it right in camp where when I went to Steve Maylett for a bit in the finest gym, I remember when I got there 12 stone, but I was fat, but I was dry. And it was like, and because I was eating the bare minimum. And then he started giving me 6 litres a day, 8 litres a day. Then I started eating and I got down to 11 stone like that. I was like, how? I just never trusted the process. I think in the Olympics, I was in the holding village and they're giving me a pack of wine gums, like 5, and going, eat them. I was having 3 sets of 5 wine gums a day. And when I said it, someone said, what the fuck? Who the fuck told you to do that? What nutritionist can get you doing that? I said, it's disgusting. It's like criminal.
One of the more recent things I saw about you was that you had some of your championship belts nicked.
Yeah, they got took out the old gym, yeah.
So you opened up your own gym?
My own gym, yeah. Frank Gavin with a lad called Craig.
And you put your belts in it?
Yeah, 2 of them in it. Well, I only put them back in there. I've left them in the house and then for a bit to get looked after where the British, like I've done with my British show and then I asked to fill back. I put them in the gym, then they got took a week later. There's something behind it. In the gym, like my sense to open the gym was to make champions, get kids off the street and make champions. But then it's just all about money in the end. Yeah, we need this, we need that. I wanted classes, they wanted fitness classes. It was all about money. And if you're in a gym for money, now the gym looks amazing. We've got no one. We've just got my cracking in there now with the few pros, but pros come and go. Amateur-wise, it's got nothing there to offer.
Your passion now.
Compared to what this has got a structure. This gym, like, when I come here, I couldn't believe, even I forgot, even though I was in myself, I couldn't believe the structure in it and how everyone in this gym, you'll see fight. You'll know they've been well trained, well schooled. Everyone has their hands up. Everyone's got their style. They're all different styles as well. So there's 4 coaches. We're all in the same wavelength. Where that other gym we weren't.
And your passion now is this. It's back to grassroots. So you've gone full circle. Do you think you'll ever get involved with the pro stuff again?
Yeah,
or
I
is
think
this
I will.
what you want?
I think now I'm thinking about it. Obviously, my partner, she's looking at turning pro in the next year or 2. So obviously, I'm going to want to be a part of her success. So I think I will do, yeah. But I want to learn as a coach first, because when I come here, I remember I was at a show, and one of the lads was going, come on, smash him up. Tom went, looked at me and he went, you can't say that, but you have to say double jab right, or talk to them how they're going to do it. I was going, oh yeah, you're bashing him, stuff like that. So even though I knew it, I can do it on the pads and but I weren't coming across with the same focal.
Sure.
Yeah, so I think being back under Tom, I'm learning a lot about coaching. Like my pads, when I was always a mover, but my pads were standing still. When I first come here, Tom said, why are you standing still? The box is not going to stand still. So now I'm improving all the time. And I think the coach of this year compared to the coach of last year has improved tenfold. That's
very gracious of you to humble yourself to the extent where you think that you've achieved what you've achieved and you've far from know everything.
Yeah, especially as a coach as well, I'm learning every day. So I don't want to take some newcomer, like John Joe Nevin offered me to go and help him as a pro. But I don't want to make my mistakes on a good fight in a pro game. And then he loses his career because of my mistakes. So when I'm ready, and I feel I'm ready, I'm getting there. When I'm ready to, I believe I can take a pro further than he is, then I'll do it. But until then, I want to contract in grassroots and I'll learn my trade here, and then I'll do it.
I've got some questions from subscribers on Patreon. And Andy Moyes says, in terms of Frankie, if you had your professional career all over again, what would you do differently? You mentioned, obviously, the chance to move out to America.
Yeah, I never would have left Tom at the beginning, to be fair. I would have stayed with Tom. I think we had like a mutual respect. The mutual respect was there. He knew me better than anyone knew me in a boxing place.
Seems to be a mix of chemistry and understanding.
Yeah, definitely. And I listened to him a lot. I wasn't scared of him, but I respected it. So he could say, you're not doing that. and I wouldn't do it. I'll just bring something up. Philly were playing blues 10 years ago, and I was in the car on my way there. Tom rang me, come to the gym, Frank. 3 of my mates in the car. And so I come to the gym. So I'm here running. You can warm up over there in a minute. So I'm running in the gym. And he ain't turned up. So I rang to why, Tom? He's gone, I ain't coming. I seen you in that car with them. You're not going to the game with them. 20 minutes later, my mate rang me. I think you need to pick me up. So I picked him up. He just killed someone at the game. He ran him over. Killed him dead. And I was in that car if I went. So I picked him up. I took him back. And then he got done for murder. This was probably 11 years ago now. He's out in the next, he's supposed to be out this year, but he's got IPP. Whether they let him out, I don't know. But do you know what I mean? My life could have changed a different way. And if anyone else would have said to me, you're not going, I probably would have went. But because he said it, I didn't.
Good question here from Robert Palmer. Do you feel you took too much of a step backwards in opposition when you turned pro, and that had a negative impact on your progression?
Yeah, I messed up, to be fair. I could have done a lot more, definitely. I could have lived it a lot better. At times I did, but you can't say at times I did.
Sure.
I've done it the whole way around. Yeah, that's my life. I love boxing. I love it as much as the next person and above anyone, but obviously I think all the setbacks from not making that weight had a big hold on my whole career.
Quite a sympathetic one here from Norman Barton. How annoying is it for you when those who've never had to make weight and stay strong enough to fight criticised him at the time and still do now? I've trained a bit and all I wanted to do afterwards was eat and eat. So yeah, I suppose you got keyboard warriors and even probably some big heavy-set journalists saying, oh, the guy's fat and lazy.
The guy's a fucking joke, yeah, I've heard it, yeah. Well, I can see where it's coming. You can't say, because you haven't done it, you can't have an opinion. Everyone can have an opinion, but I think there's a way you put it across. Some people are just damn right disrespectful or damn right there just to slag you. Some people genuinely want an answer, like he wants an answer. Well, I think everyone's entitled to an opinion. But I think before you ask the question, have a think of the answer, the reaction you're going to give the other person. Ask it with a bit more politeness instead of just going in on someone.
Nick Taylor, is it frustrating that some people say you didn't fulfill your potential despite being British Commonwealth champion and European and world title challenger? You've won titles, challenged for belts, had a career most boxers will be proud of, yet you don't seem to get the credit for that. Does Frankie feel that the expectations put on him when you turn pro were unfair? So first one, you don't seem to get the credit for what you have achieved. Do you agree with that?
Oh yeah, I've agreed a lot, but I've achieved a hell of a lot, but I could have got more. I can understand the questions.
So that's an interesting one, actually. Does Frankie feel the expectations put on you when turning pro were fair? I mean, I was probably one of those guys saying, we've got our own Pernell Whitaker. We've got this guy who's going to clean up. Might even be another Kawasaki or something like that great. Is that fair? And did that put pressure on you, people saying stuff like that?
No, because I had the same expectations of myself. I thought I was going to do it. So I just agreed with it. Yeah, I'll do it. I really thought that of myself, so their expectations weren't nothing what I never expected.
So I started this interview saying I think you're one of the most infuriating guys that I've covered. Probably still on that same vibe now at the end of it. Yeah. It's been great though. You know, it's great to cover your career. Always been good to talk to. Appreciate your time today. And it was great to cover your career. You know, it was good. There were highs, lows. We spoke during some of the lower periods back in 2011, 2012 and stuff. And you've come through it all. And what's great now is to see you passionate about the stuff that you're doing, because we talked about that time in retirement that's so hard for fighters, and they miss the buzz, they miss the fights, they miss the routine. You're getting a routine back and you're doing something that you love, which is great.
Yeah, definitely. I understand how everyone can be infuriated. I'm infuriated myself sometimes when I look back. At the same time, I'm still involved in boxing. I love boxing, and hopefully I'm let someone achieve what I help someone to achieve what I achieved as an amateur, and hopefully bigger things as a pro. But I'm not in it. I love success. I love winning, but I'm in it just I love boxing. I've got nothing else. Obviously, I work on the railway, but that don't give me anything what this gives me.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you
man.
too,
I appreciate
I really
it.
enjoyed that. Thanks.
Cheers.